Bonjour, mes amis. Well, it's been a hectic week in France. First of all, material masks were banned, so from now on, you'll only see me in surgical masks. Then secondly, despite the fact that the restaurants have been closed for quite a while and are still closed, the Michelin Restaurant Guide 2021 was launched on Monday at the Eiffel Tower in a restaurant called Haute-Vienne. Now, Michelin felt that it was their responsibility to promote the restaurants and to ensure that they are not forgotten. I'm sure they won't be. Everybody's waiting for them to reopen. And then thirdly, I'm going to show you a clip from the France 24 news bulletin. There is a new law that was launched on Friday, and that says that the sensory heritage of rural France is now protected by law.
This is a tale of how the humble French villager struck back against the haughty Parisian. For years, city dwellers have been accused of trying to stifle the everyday noises of country life. But now French lawmakers have given the green light to legislation that aims to protect the sensory heritage of the countryside. The law protects charming staples of rural life, such as cow droppings, grasshopper chirps, and the soothing sound of the early morning tractor. In other words, cows can moo to their heart's content, and roosters can crow all they like. Maurice the rooster became a symbol of the long-running feud between rural folk fighting to preserve their way of life and newcomers looking for peace and quiet. Over the last decade, thousands of similar cases have been brought before judges. Back in 2018, holidaymakers asked permission to silence noisy insects with insecticide. In another incident, a woman in southwestern France took her neighbour to court over the incessant babbling of her ducks and geese in the back garden. The case was thrown out, giving the geese carte blanche to babble all they like.
Yes, so no more complaining about the frogs in my neighbor's lake or the smell of cow dung. But I mean, those are the things that I love. It's countryside after all. So today we are going to explore what is a French village, because you might have noticed that they all look more or less the same. Now I'm going to show you why. Because every single French village or town, they all have the same facilities. Because we are going to go into my village and I'll show you all the essentials. Right, let's go. Let us go and see what makes a village French, and what are those things that the French cannot live without. Mine is outside, so I better take my coat. Now, in the heart of every village is a church. In fact, there are more than 45,000 Catholic churches and chapels in villages in France. And today, 80% of French citizens are still Roman Catholics, even more so in the countryside. Now, before the French Revolution in 1789, the Catholic Church had been the official state religion of France. The church, filled with statues and paintings of religious figures, was the heart of religious life. And in those days, the village was built around the church, which usually dominated the landscape as it was the largest building. It was a gathering place for the whole surrounding community. I'm sure you remember some of the churches we've seen so far, and of course there are a few that you haven't seen yet. In modern times, the Hôtel de Ville, or the mairie, which is the town hall, has taken over the power from the church. From local taxes to transport and schools to tourism, the French mayor and the mairie are responsible for a number of important aspects of life in your local community in France. Now, the local mayor is a respected figure in France with plenty of responsibility or power, depending on how you look at it. So you address the mayor as Monsieur or Madame le Maire, out of respect. The mayor is head of the mairie, and as a leader of the local community has a wide-reaching role, which includes, for example, establishing and managing the local budget, setting local tax rates, managing public services in the community, including transport, housing, sports facilities, hygiene, health and social welfare, protecting and promoting local heritage and culture, involvement in promoting local tourism, and even making decisions relating to local schools, for example, increasing or reducing the number of classes. Which brings us to another village essential, education. Now, the French education system consists of 3 stages: primary, secondary, and higher education. However, formal schooling in France can start as early as age 3, when children attend kindergarten. Now, after kindergarten, or école maternelle, the French compulsory education starts with primary school, école, from the age of 6 for 5 years. Then middle school, or collège, that's for 4 years. And then high school, lycée, for the final 3 years, where students take the same core curriculum, and at the end of the year they decide on a specialized baccalaureate, or bac, for their final year. And the bac is the qualification needed for entering university. Now we are getting to the more seriously essentials in the village. Firstly, the pharmacy. Now, when you see a green cross flickering outside, it is an ordinary pharmacy stocking everything. But if there's a blue cross outside, it means that pharmacy specializes in homeopathic medicines. They are mostly situated in larger towns or cities. I suspect that the popularity of the pharmacy depends on the fact that one cannot buy ordinary things like headache tablets or cough medicine at the supermarket. Anything medical has to be bought at the pharmacy. After the pharmacy, the 2 most popular places are the boulangerie, or the bakery, for the daily bread, and the tabac. Now let's first go and see what's available inside the boulangerie. next to the boulangerie, you have the tabac. Now you might think that they only sell tobacco products, but no, let me show you. And not far from the tabac and the boulangerie, you find the hairdresser, the coiffeur. Very important. We have 3 in our village. And as you can see, this one is for both men and women. And then we get to another basic, the post office, la poste. And also a bank, la banque de la poste. Something that you will not find in every village, but we are quite fortunate to have a quality butcher. And he doesn't only sell meat. Merci, Monsieur Boucher. Every village has a central marketplace or square where weekly farmers' markets are held. Now there you can then buy local produce directly from the farmers. But they also have a small shop run by people from the community. And there you can buy everyday things like various foods, wines, and other basic necessities. Yes, of course, every village must have at least one restaurant and a bar. Unfortunately, at the moment, all the restaurants are still closed. But when they reopen, I promise to bring you back here, because this is the building where T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, celebrated his 20th birthday. And that was on the 16th of August, 1908. We are very fortunate to have one of the first medical centers in rural France, which houses the Croix Rouge or Red Cross, where you can go for blood tests, etc. Or you can ask them to come to your house and do it there. The Red Cross also goes out mornings and evenings to assist the elderly. And in the modern edition, on the right, you have 3 doctors, a dentist, and a physiotherapist. Another essential is, of course, the eco-point, or recycling bins in every village. Like I explained at my friend Sandra's place, you pay for garbage removal per weight, making it necessary to recycle things like plastic and carton, magazines, and oh, there goes my last bottle of Mrs. Ball's chutney. Something else you will find in every village is a war memorial dedicated to the children of that village who died in World War I and World War II. And then, of course, every village has a cemetery, usually overlooking the village, because the belief is that the deceased watch over those they left behind. Very interesting is that every village has an entrance sign that indicates 2 things. 1, the name of the village, and 2, the speed limit is now 50 kilometers per hour. And there at the bottom, you can see that our village is under video surveillance. There's also a second sign where the name of the village is written in the old language spoken during the Middle Ages, l'Occitan. And when you leave the village, there's a sign telling you this is the end of the village and now you can go back to 80 kilometers per hour. And that, friends, is a French village. Now I'm off to go and enjoy my buy of the day.